Hey guys, and welcome to Midweek Online for the very last time. We've been doing this for a couple of months, and it's time to come back together in person. I'm so excited. If you're watching live, welcome. Thank you so much for joining on live today. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're watching later, thanks for finding this video. Hello. Whether you are live or later, welcome to Midweek Online. If you do not know who I am, my name is Jess. I am the junior high student minister at Hope Christian Church. Nice to meet you. We're going to meet in person next week. So excited. All right. I got 3 announcements. Only 3. You know the first one. Band app. If you're not a part of it, I don't know what you're doing, you silly goose. The link is in the description below, and all you got to do is click on it and create a profile with your parents' permission. Then you get to be a part of our page. This is where we connect. This is where I post any announcement, information, any events at all. That's where you're going to find them out first. So if you're not a part of it, just click that link, create a profile with your parents' permission, and you're going to know all the things. One of the things that we did on the band app in the past couple of weeks is we helped decide a movie for our movie night. That is what we're doing next week, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. upstairs in our youth room. This is a bring your own blanket situation or pillow. You can also bring one of those. There's going to be popcorns, drinks, and of course a movie. And over the past couple weeks, we've gotten some suggestions for what you guys want to watch on this movie night. And last week there was even some suggestions in the stream. So there's so many good suggestions that I just went ahead and made the wheel of movies. Here are your suggestions. We're going to let it decide our fate. So drum roll, please. We're going to see what movie we are watching. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, and we're watching Star Wars. We're actually going to watch Star Wars Episode 7. That is the first one in the latest trilogy. There's so much Star Wars. That's what we're going to be watching next week, Wednesday at 6:30 up in the youth room. I'm so excited to see you guys in person. It's going to be a great time. All right, and our last announcement is camp. Camp is coming up. You guys do not want to miss this. It is July 27th through the 30th at High Hill Christian Camp in High Hill, Missouri. It is $175 per student, and I know there's still a pandemic going on outside. If you or your parents have any concerns or questions about that, or if you're just like, hey Jess, I want to go, send me the link. Here is my email down here, right here. Just send me an email or ask your parents to send me an email, and I can get you anything you need, answer any questions, get you that link. But you gotta act fast because we are leaving soon. It's in 3 weeks, and that's going to go by quicker than you think. So if you want to be a part of that, or the email's in the description below. So find that, email me, let's get you to camp. I know before all the quarantined fun, we were signed up for something called CIY Mix, which is a huge summer conference for junior hires, and it's so incredibly fun. But since the quarantine kind of killed everything, CIY was like, we're going to send you CIY in a box. And that's what they did. And that's how we are actually at camp doing more of like a CIY at camp sort of a deal. So it's going to be super exciting, so much fun. The camp is such a good time. You do not want to miss it. So email me if you need anything about that. I would love for you guys to come with us. Oh my gosh, no wait, there's a fourth announcement. This is just me letting you guys know ahead of time. Next week, July 15th, we are going to be back in person for the movie night. Don't miss that. But the 2 weeks after that, this is July 22nd and July 29th. We are taking a little bit of a break. Actually, for those of you who are going to camp, July 29th, we're actually going to be at camp. So I'm not going to be here to be able to do anything midweek like. So midweek on Wednesdays is going to take a 2-week break on those days, July 22nd and July 29th. So I'll remind you guys next week in person, and we'll be posting some reminders just to keep your brains fresh. But I wanted to go ahead and post it here and now so you guys have that. All right. Last week we played a game called Jurassic Wait, and we learned lots and lots about dinosaurs. It was very educational. This week I went looking for a game, and I found so many good ones. Like, I almost went with this one just because of the name. It was called You twit face. That's hilarious. But instead, I went with this one, because it's all nice and toasty warm outside. I thought we could go ahead and dream for the fall by playing Did They Pumpkin Spice It? They're going to be showing us different products, and we have to guess whether or not those things have been pumpkin spiced, because everything gets turned into pumpkin spice flavor. Everyone's obsessed. So we're going to go ahead and guess what things they have pumpkin spiced. Oh, yeah, there's our rules. Well, we already know how to play this. All right, let's go. Smoothies. I feel like they're easing us in. They're just easing us in slowly. Did they make smoothies into pumpkin spice? I'm not even giving you guys time to get this. You should know. Absolutely. They've spiced smoothies. We know that. All right, next we have plantain chips. For those of you who don't know what plantains are, they're kind of like bigger, like less sweet bananas, and their texture is a little different too. Like, they're good, but I guess, I don't know. They're different. They're not as sweet as bananas, but people like to slice them up and air fry them into chips, and we have to guess whether or not they've pumpkin spiced that. So go ahead and make a guess. We're going to see these have not been pumpkin spiced. I think this is just going to be a game of me being surprised that they haven't pumpkin spiced some things, because they pumpkin spice everything. All right, next product we have potato chips. Have they made this into a pumpkin spice flavor? Go ahead and make a guess. The answer is they have not. That's, again, I'm shocked. That's very shocking to me. All right, next we have kombucha. All right, for those of you who don't know what kombucha is, it's like a weird thick drink. It's like thick like a smoothie, but it's not a smoothie. And it's weird. Not sure. But the question at hand is, have they pumpkin spiced it? Kombucha is pumpkin spiced. I wonder if that makes it taste better. I'm not going to try it. All right, next we have kale chips. I don't understand. Like, kale is like lettuce, only leafier, and then they air fried it into a chip. They're just trying to make our chips healthier. But have they pumpkin spiced kale chips? That's the question at hand. So go ahead and make your guess. They absolutely have. Again, I wonder if that makes it taste better, but I'm not going to try it. All right, next we have protein powder for like protein shakes. It's like something you drink after a workout, I guess, to be healthy. I don't know, but have they pumpkin spiced it? Is there a pumpkin spice protein shake? That's the question. Go ahead and make your guess. They have pumpkin spice protein powder. I figured they would. That seemed like something they definitely would pumpkin spice. All right, next we have Snickers bar. See, now you got to think back to all those times that you went to the grocery store with your parents around like October, and now you got to think, did they pumpkin spice a Snickers bar? Did they? All right, we're going to find out, so make your guess. They have not. I need some adventure to come do this, because that actually sounds really good. All right, next we have Ho-Hos. Ho-Hos are like the little spiral tube of chocolatey, cakey cream goodness. Delicious. But have they pumpkin spiced it? I'd be surprised if they didn't. So go ahead and make a guess, because Ho-Hos are not pumpkin spiced. Wild. All right, next we have Twinkies. Twinkies. This needs no explanation. We're just going to go ahead and make a guess. Twinkies, have they been pumpkin spiced? They have, of course. Look at that cute little pie over the little cowboy. All right, next we have Peeps. I thought Peeps were only in the Easter time. Well, I mean, they could have pumpkin spice Peeps, but maybe they don't. That guess is up to you. You have to make that guess. Have they pumpkin spice Peeps? They have. Also, did you guys know that they have made Peep milk? Like Peep flavored milk. Like, I've seen that. Like in a video, someone drank peat flavored milk. Can you imagine pumpkin spice peat flavored milk? That's a lot. All right, next. Ooh, a tiebreaker. I don't know if anyone needs a tiebreaker. Can't tell who's winning, but we're gonna have one anyway. Bologna. For any of you out there who like bologna sandwiches like I do, have they pumpkin spiced it? The answer is, oh, pumpkin spice bologna. Oh my gosh. Just kidding. That's a joke. I got you. All right. So, pumpkin spice. Now you can look forward to these things when it's pumpkin spice season. Yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead and head into our message, but before we do that, y'all know we got to pray. So, close your eyeballs, hands off your neighbors, hands off your keyboard, hands off your mouse, hands off your screen. We're talking to Jesus. All right. Hey, Jesus, thank you so much for this day that you've given us. Lord, thank you so much for how much you love us. Thank you so much for the many blessings that we receive because you love us. And Lord, tonight as we dive deeper into your word, I ask that you would just open our ears, open our hearts to hear what you have for us. Lord, please keep us from any kind of distraction because, Lord, we only want to hear from you. We thank you so much for giving us your word so that we can learn about you and learn from you every single day. Lord, that's just amazing. Lord, we love you so very much. We are so thankful for who you are and for just all of the many blessings we receive from you on the daily basis. We pray these things in your name. Amen. All right, we are going to get started. This is our very last week of our series, What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. That is our mouthful title, where we have been talking about the life of Joseph for the past 4 weeks and how his life paints a wonderful picture of how we can know what to do when we don't know what to do. Last week, we talked about one of the craziest things that has ever happened to him, where all of this craziness in his life, all of the chaos gets turned into something fantastic that only Joseph could have done because he went through everything that he went through. And that God doesn't waste pain. And that all of his pain, all of his backstory got turned to a purpose that came directly from God. That's so stinking cool. And even though our pain gets turned into purpose, it doesn't take the pain away. But without the pain, we would never be able to get to do the cool things that God leads us to do. So we're going to wrap up our series today by talking about a very important element where we're talking about difficult situations and letting them be used for God's purpose. But before we dive into that, I have 2 mini stories, little bitty things, and they're not embarrassing. Sorry, maybe next time. But first is just think for a second about your best friend. Who is your absolute very best friend? I've told some of you guys before that my best friend is a girl named Ashley. We've been friends for 15 years. That's a long time. We actually became friends when I was in 6th grade and she was in 7th, and we've been friends ever since. I love her so much. She's super great. And we have this kind of friendship that started when, I don't know if you guys get an allowance, but there was kind of a point in time when I stopped getting one. I could do chores and then I would get money that way. But sometimes I got too busy, or I don't know, I wanted to play outside instead. And I didn't have a whole lot of money, especially when it came to high school, because some of my friends had jobs and I was not allowed to have a job. But in high school, I also didn't have an allowance, and I was super busy and involved in like everything. So there was a period of time when I would go and hang out with my friends and I would be broke, just totally poor. And they could enjoy things and we could go to restaurants and they could pay for things while I sat there with my water cup and watched them enjoy like Taco Bell. And it was sad. But Ashley was super great at that time, where sometimes she would even pay for me. And it was just so thoughtful and kind of her. And I often felt embarrassed and just in my mind was like, I have to pay you back. I have to pay you back. And over the course of our friendship, I've learned that for us, that's just not the case. And I think that's what makes our friendship so great is we never keep tabs. It's not like I know that I owe her $5, so I have to pay for her next coffee. And she doesn't remind me of any time that I owe her or that when she owes me. We just have a running tab. At some point, whenever I see her next, I'm sure I will try to pay for whatever it is that we're trying to do. As I know she will probably do the same for me, just because we go back and forth of paying each other back, even though we're really not sure whose turn it is to pay the other back. And that's been happening for like 10 years. And I love it so much because I love her so much, and it's just how we enjoy our friendship. Second mini story, and kind of a flip side. For those of you who have siblings, you'll relate to this. But I have a younger brother named Jake. He is 2 years younger than me, and as of now, I would consider him one of my best friends. I love my brother very, very much. In fact, he just came home for a visit this past weekend, and it was so, so good. So good to see him because I've missed him so much. But from about the time he was born until high school, maybe a little after, we did not get along at all, ever. We fought constantly. I would even say it's like kind of safe to say that we pretty much hated each other. We just did not get along. It was bad. So my brother and I, as we would fight as kids and as we pulled pranks on each other, we kept a different kind of tab. One of payback for revenge. And we just kept that tab going, paying revenge back and seeing whose turn is it to pay the other one revenge. So like my friendship with Ashley, only way less fun. Why do I tell these stories? How are they related? Simple, one word, payback. I think I said it like 5 times. And the paybacks in these stories are definitely different, but they're both a version of payback that we've experienced with people. I'm sure there's times where you've met people maybe at school, maybe even people at church or somewhere like people you know in the neighborhood, or like your neighbors around you or your friends, wherever you go to get to know people. There have been times when we've wanted some kind of payback on like a bully or someone that's super annoying or our obnoxious sibling. I know you guys have been that way, for those of you who have siblings. Sometimes we just want payback when we get hurt, when we get wronged. We just want that moment of revenge. And maybe we don't go all like scary movie and like terrifying amounts of revenge because we're normal. Or we don't write songs about people we want payback on like every other pop star. I'm sure you can think of a few. I'm thinking of one in particular. But we all try to get payback in one way or another. We want them to feel how they made us feel. And we want them to feel the pain and the hurt that we dealt with because of something they did. Our first reaction can sometimes be just to get even, or at least get something in return, even if it's just knowing that we can post something super vague, kind of sketchy, maybe a little shady on Snapchat, and just have the satisfaction to know that that's about them. People do it. You might be one of them. I won't. No judgment. Happens. But we could maybe even admit that the closer we are to a person, the more we want payback. People who are closest to us know us the best. And they're normally the people that know how to hurt us the most. And those are the people, because we let them in, they were close to us and they hurt us badly, and we want them to feel that pain. And they become kind of high on the priority list of payback and revenge. This is the kind of crossroads that we find Joseph at. I mean, his entire story is just absolutely insane. Let's just recap Joseph's story real quick. Like, strap in. It's a recap. Joseph has one dad, 4 moms, 12 siblings. They all hate him. He's the favorite. Not really his fault. He can't choose that, so they all hate him more. He has dreams about his family members bowing to him, so they hate him even more. Because they hate him so much, they sell him into slavery. That's right, slavery. Because of their hatred. While in slavery, he gets sold to an owner who is an Egyptian officer named Potiphar. Potiphar's wife accuses Joseph of doing something that he never did, so he gets thrown into jail for something he didn't do. While he's in jail, he meets two new friends, a cupbearer and a baker, and they both have bonkers dreams. Joseph interprets both of them correctly, and the one that lives because of it forgets about him in jail for 2 whole years. 2 years. Until Pharaoh has a bonkers dream. The dude remembers, says, I've got a friend. Joseph comes out of jail, meets with Pharaoh, talks to him, interprets his dream properly, where Pharaoh finally says, hey dude, you seem to have a god who knows what he's talking about. Why don't you be my second in command? Y'all need a breath? I needed a breath. That's a lot. He's been through so much. His life has been filled with nothing but like dysfunction and lying and chaos and hatred and pain. And it becomes something super great. He gets the promotion of a lifetime because of the dysfunction, the chaos, the hatred, the lying in his life. And he's sitting pretty nice as number 2 in the whole country, with the only authority being Pharaoh. His only authority is Pharaoh. That's crazy. And that's where we left off last week, is Joseph getting this huge promotion. There's even more that happens. I know, that's crazy, because already so much has happened in this dude's life. Like, how is there more? Well, there's so much more that it takes 5 chapters to tell it all. 5 whole chapters of the dude's life. We're not going to read all that. So I found a super fun video that we're going to watch that just kind of recaps those, at least 4 of those 5 chapters. So strap in. We're in for a good time.
The Faithful Hall of Fame, Joseph. This is Joseph, who was the son of Israel and Rachel. But he had 11 brothers who hated him and sold him into slavery. After being put in jail, Joseph told of the future of Egypt when he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, and Joseph found favor with the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh made Joseph a leader in his kingdom. Just as Joseph had told the Pharaoh, Egypt had 7 years of abundance. Then the 7 years of abundance came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. But the Egyptians had food to eat because Joseph had planned for the famine. There was famine in all the other lands, and many came to Joseph to buy food. There was even a famine in the land that Joseph came from. So when Israel heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent his sons to buy some. But Israel did not send Benjamin with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. When Joseph's brothers came to him, Joseph recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger. So Joseph decided to test his brothers. He had his interpreter tell them to send for Benjamin, who had stayed home. And then he threw his brothers in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph let all but one of the brothers take grain to their starving households with the instruction to bring Benjamin back. But Joseph provided for his brothers' journey and gave them grain and silver. The brothers did exactly as Joseph instructed, as they were scared that God was punishing them for what they had done to Joseph so many years before. They traveled home to their father's house, then back to Egypt. Now that he had seen that they brought Benjamin, Joseph was overwhelmed, so he released the brother who was still in prison. But Joseph decided to play one more trick on his brothers. He sent the brothers away but told his servant to hide his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. Then Joseph told the servant to go after the brothers and retrieve the cup. The brothers hadn't traveled far before the servant stopped them and accused them of stealing the cup.
All right, that's 4 chapters. Again, we are not reading all that. You should read all of that. But from there, we pick it up in chapter 45, starting in verse 1, that says, Joseph could stand it no longer. There were many people in the room, and he said to his attendants, "Out, all of you." So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Then he broke down and wept. He wept so loudly the Egyptians could hear him, and word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. "I am Joseph," he said to his brothers. "Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were speechless. They were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of him. "Please come closer," he said to them. So they came closer, and he said again, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. But don't be upset and don't be angry with me. Don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. The famine that has ravaged the land for 2 years will last 5 more years, and there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. God has sent me ahead of you to keep you and your families alive, to preserve many survivors. So it was God who sent me here, not you. And he is the one who made me an advisor to Pharaoh, the manager of his entire palace, and the governor of all Egypt." What a lead off of a story. Imagine when Joseph first has the people exit the room and he's only there with his brothers. Imagine the tension that he must feel in just this moment that he's been given, that's been dropped in his lap for optimal payback. These brothers wanted to kill him weeks ago when we read that their original plan was to kill Joseph. But then they sold him into slavery instead, because that's a better option. And Joseph was faced with a perfect opportunity for payback here, right in his lap as he has everybody exit the room. And that moment of silence that, he's got a lot of attendants. He's number 2 in charge. And as he's waiting for everyone to exit the room, just the silence and the tension, as he's been given a moment where he has to make a decision to live out his purpose or to give back some payback to the people who wanted to kill him. Let's be honest for a second. What would you do? Honestly, if you were put in a similar situation where all of this stuff, most of your life leading up to where you are has been nothing but pain, all at the hands of the people now in front of you, what would you do? I'm really not even sure what I would do. But then we see him tell this incredible story of how all the pain and dysfunction and hatred and lying was all for the glory of God. That Joseph was where he was because of God, not because of what they had done to him. There's only one reason why Joseph really could have responded this way. He didn't try to get payback. He had already let go of the idea of payback because he had already done the hard work of forgiveness. He had already let that go in all of his time where he could have been sitting as a slave or sitting in jail, just stewing on his hatred for his brothers. He decided to give it to God. He could look into the eyes of the ones who caused him so much pain and care about what they felt. That's amazing. Somewhere between being sold into slavery and being made number 2 in the entire country, Joseph gave the hurt to God, and he allowed God to control his healing, to be the center stage of the healing. That's why Joseph is quick to acknowledge God in where the brothers had caused the most pain. Didn't make what his brothers did okay at all. Like, what his brothers did was very wrong, and I think we can all admit that. It didn't lessen Joseph's pain. It didn't make his story any better. It just took the real pain and the real hurt, and it took it off center stage and put God on center stage. I think we tend to do that. When we've been hurt or when we've been wronged, that's what we want to focus on. And we're letting that take control because it's taking center stage of our lives, when if we just give it to God and we make God center stage, we can see so much of our purpose happen before us. Because when we give it to God, He can use it. But if we're keeping it center stage, we're too focused on payback. Joseph goes on to, he tells his family to go get his father, because there's 5 more years of the famine, and he has the entire family move to Egypt, so that they don't have to travel back and forth every time they need food. They could just live there and not have to suffer. And we see this happen in verse 15. Joseph kissed each of his brothers and wept over them, and after they began talking freely with him. Guys, they're friends now. I mean, they have to rebuild their friendship, absolutely. But that's the thing, is this is what's better than payback. We always think we'll feel better when we are able to get payback, but this is the thing that's better than payback. Reconciliation, which is just coming back together and fixing what's broken. This is where we see God do the impossible, because He can bring peace when there's only been hurt, all because of grace and forgiveness. God is a God of the impossible. When it comes to other people hurting us, we too have the opportunity to choose something better than payback. In better words, when we don't know what to do, pursue peace instead of payback. Last week, we talked all about how our pain can be used for a greater purpose. It doesn't have to have the win over us. It doesn't have to make us feel down. We can give the pain to God and let Him use it for our greater purpose, for things only we can do. Just like this is a story where only Joseph could do those things. Absolutely. But nothing stands in the way of our purpose better than payback. We will get distracted from our purpose. Our purpose will be put on pause if we let payback take the center stage rather than God. And like a few weeks ago, we talked about how the right decision isn't always like in a decision that we have to make, and you're not really sure which one to take because you don't know what the end result's going to be. Making the right decision can be just as obvious as, would you rather pursue your purpose or cause payback? That doesn't mean it's an easy decision to make. It's so hard because we want so badly, a lot of times, to give that payback. But don't let the payback stand in the way of your purpose as being the right thing to choose. God's purpose will always be the best thing for us. So as we move forward, as we leave this series, let's let the story of Joseph ring true for us, because we can't quite understand all of the things that he's been through. This dude's been through so much. And we can't say we've ever been sold into slavery or put in jail for something we didn't do or made second in command to an entire country. These are not things that we've ever done. But his story still rings true in that we've been in pain. We've had things happen to us that are unfair. And we've sometimes wanted to give back some payback. But let's let this story of knowing what to do when we don't know what to do ring true, because we know that no matter what pain, what chaos or wild circumstance comes about in our lives, any kind of dysfunction, God is with us. God is always with us. And when God is with us, He leads us to the next right decision and causes all of our pain to be turned to a greater purpose. And most importantly, He gives us the kind of healing and forgiveness that any situation that will help us along the way to that greater purpose. So I hope you guys have a marvelous week. I will see you guys next week here at the church upstairs in the youth room at 6:30. I'm so excited to see you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. I love you very much.